Welcome back to Everything Psychology. You want to be loved. Most of us do. But the moment someone actually gets close enough to see the real you, you pull back. You deflect. You offer them a version of yourself that is slightly edited, a little more managed, a little less messy, and entirely safer than the real thing. And here is the cruelest part of that equation. The love you receive for that managed version never quite lands. It can't, because somewhere underneath, your nervous system knows they don't love you. They love the performance. We are trapped in a cycle where the exact behavior we use to secure love is the thing that makes actually feeling it impossible. It is a deeply painful psychological trap, and almost nobody talks about it openly. In psychology, this fear of being truly known is called intimacy avoidance, a spectrum of emotional defense. It's a specific internal alarm system, distinct from shyness or introversion. This avoidance is driven by the conviction that if the real you were seen clearly, the other person would inevitably leave. If you live with this, it feels entirely rational. It feels protective, because for a large portion of the population, it once was. The psychological armor currently starving you of connection was actually a brilliant design. It was built to keep you safe in an earlier, much more dangerous environment. We have to look at early conditional love. When a child receives affection that is entirely contingent on their behavior, on being quiet enough, successful enough, or emotionally manageable, they learn a devastating lesson right away. Love is a performance review. Failing the review means losing the love entirely. That belief migrates right into adulthood. It packs its bags and moves into every single relationship and friendship you build. You become an adult who can never fully relax into being seen because revealing your unpolished parts means failing the review. Decades of research on vulnerability and shame by Brené Brown points to a consistent core wound beneath this emotional avoidance. It is the persistent belief, if they really knew me, they would leave. It is a deep, unshakable sense of being defective at the root. That verdict is almost always inaccurate, but it is highly convincing because your environment quietly handed it to you before you had the language or cognitive capacity to challenge it all. This diagram shows the exact asymmetry of vulnerability. When you let someone see you fully, the upside is deep connection, but the massive downside is a catastrophic rejection of the self. They didn't reject a mistake, they rejected the real you. A nervous system that has fallen into that chasm once builds elaborate systems to ensure it never stands near the edge again. This creates the imposter phenomenon. For the deeply avoidant person, it is a constant background hum. You are perpetually waiting for the moment your partner finally looks closely enough to see through the performance and find the emptiness behind it. Closeness becomes the threat. Closeness is the exposure event. The unconscious mind keeps pulling back to keep the relationship at the exact depth where the performance can still hold up. There is also the reality of knowledge as leverage. When someone knows your insecurities, your wounds, and your fears, they know exactly where to press. Vulnerability can be weaponized. If you have had an open moment met with contempt or used against you in a high-conflict relationship, the calculus changes. Remaining unknown becomes a strictly necessary form of safety. It also protects you from yourself. We call this the paradox of self-concept. To tell someone the truth about yourself, you first have to know it. Many avoid intimacy simply because deep disclosure forces a heavy level of self-confrontation they are just not ready to face. But all of these pale in comparison to the ultimate dread, the fear that someone can know you fully, love you, and still choose to walk away. It installs an argument that is nearly impossible to beat. Even when you give everything, you are not enough to make someone stay. You cannot think your way out of intimacy avoidance. Logic does not work here. Your nervous system only learns through new, safe experiences. This visualization shows the practice of graduated vulnerability. You do not throw your full interior open all at once. You extend trust incrementally. You share a small piece, watch how it is received, and build evidence that contradicts your original wound. The goal is to accumulate enough evidence of safety to slowly, steadily lower the internal threat signal. This requires finding a partner who offers consistency over time. Not perfection, a partner who repairs the bond after a rupture and who repeatedly chooses you after seeing the parts of yourself you were terrified to show. You protected what needed protecting until you found someone who made that protection unnecessary. That is where deep connection actually begins. The parts of you that you are most afraid to show are almost always the parts that, if seen by the right person, create the deepest and most lasting connection that exists. The only question left is, will you recognize that safe person when they arrive, and will you finally let them in? If this named something you've been living with silently, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Everything Psychology, and leave a comment below. What makes it hardest for you to let someone truly see you? Your answer might be exactly what someone else is searching for.